It's 6:33, so we can start the meeting. Everyone should have the agenda. So since Dave's not participating and Robin's not here, we need to seat two
This conference will now be recorded.
people. So I will need a nomination to seat two alternates for the two seats.
Nominate. I nominate. You know, the audio is very difficult for me. I don't know if it is for everybody else.
All right, we can hear you now. Who did you nominate?
Yeah, so I nominate both. Oh, I nominate Peter and who else we and Prem.
All right. Second?
Yep, this is Harlan. I'll second him. I think the muting and unmuting process is part of the problem here.
All right, well, hopefully we'll get better at this because we'll be doing it for a while, but for now, we'll just have to figure out the best way to get through this one, and hopefully we'll learn something else by the next one. So I don't know how we do a vote this way. So I do need approval. The people that you can see can raise their hand. I don't know, but probably people that I can't see, you just need a vote. All right.
I think probably officially you need a voice vote regardless.
All right. So can
To make
everybody,
it the nuisance, but I think that's what you have to do.
so can you just do roll call? Do roll call, Joanne, for the vote to seat the alternates. You're just going to have to ask everybody. It'll be a little bit slower, but
I think I just went to my screen and unmuted. So if everyone did the same thing, wouldn't that work?
I think so, so long as everybody's quiet in the background.
Yeah,
all right. So
if
just the
board
board
members
members.
unmute themselves, I think you can conduct more of a normal meeting unless you get a lot of noise in the background. And Joe, my suggestion for votes is you do a voice vote and you make sure you ask for nays and abstain. And if it's not obviously overwhelming and in favor, that then you go to an individual roll call.
Okay, well, we'll try that to start.
So I'm an aye.
All right. One.
Aye.
Mark Adelberg, aye.
All right. Wayne? Wayne, you there? All right. But we do it in reverse. Any nays or abstentions? Let's do it backwards. All right. Hearing none. Motion passes. Just need those two people. All right, so just quickly, so meeting format, we're following Executive Order 7B as closely as we can. Like I said, hopefully meetings will go a little bit smoother this week. Just wanted to talk about, me and Bob have had a discussion just to talk about the future budget process. So I'm just going to go through and throw out a bunch of information, and then we can have some discussion on it. So the first item is related to budget approval. Executive Order 7C extended the charter deadlines by 30 days. So hopefully, if need be, because everything changes daily, that, that could be extended again. But for now, we have 30 days extension from our charter deadline to pass the budget, we'll say, in traditional way. And so that's what we did want to talk about. So conceptually, I'd like to finish approving the budget later in the meeting as it was submitted. And then based upon a multitude of unknowns, me and Bob had talked, and I think a good process would be to have a second budget as a backup. So I think it makes sense to go back to departments and see if if they can come back with a revised lower budget, and hopefully in most cases. So because we don't know what the impact of all this is. It's going to take a little while. The state, there's been zero communication from them as far as what's going on with grants. Obviously, the state's going to be impacted. So we don't know what grants are going to, what was put out, where that is. There's other impacts that are happening now, such as the town aid road grants funded by the gas tax. Well, nobody's going anywhere. So, there could be issues with that grant. There's decrease in sales tax because people aren't doing as much. And then, of course, the state's delaying the payment of income taxes and estimates. So we don't know what that impact is. On the plus side, there's a whole lot of new federal grants, the CARE Act that was passed. There's a GFOA summary that how it relates to municipalities. I can get that out to everyone. I just got it to myself from my firm about a half an hour ago. There is significant funding in there for health-related things, so I'm not sure what kind of impact this is having on the health district, because we're part of a district. If they're gonna be coming back for additional funding, or if they're gonna get some of these grants. There's significant funding for education. So I'm normally, again, with the region in our situation, I assume the region will be getting that money, so that could potentially cause a problem. I mean, could potentially help this, because there's a lot of money more to cover some of the costs, but also for some new funding. Again, hopefully we're going to have decreased collections or slowed collections for taxes, decrease in building permits, potentially decrease in interest income. Interest rates kind of fell right down to zero again. And unless home sales pick up, conveyance tax is going to be down. So that's kind of the background. I'm sure everyone's aware of this because it's like nonstop in the news. Then we also need to look at the understanding, and we'll be talking with the region about what budget we don't control. We have a couple legal commitments with the Region 17 budget. Right now, if it's a flat budget and no increase, it's $1,147,000 additional if their budget is the same as last year. And that's, in addition to that, we have the $150,000 debt service and HES and $70,000 operating costs. So the $1,147,000 and the $150,000, we really don't have any flexibility on that. So once their budget passes, we'd be legally obligated to kind of get that into our budget. So again, that's just background for now to understand it's not as, we don't control the whole process. So we do want to do this process, we'll say, in a traditional way. So the consideration of extending it 30 days and seeing what happens if the state does another executive order to allow more time, or what will happen. But obviously, things change multiple times a day. So a month from now, we're going to have better information. So I think as far as the budget process, that was a strategy that we like to use, is to kind of get something in place because it's already in the Board of Finance hands, but then to kind of ask to go back and kind of have another budget ready to go, depending on what other information comes out. So just, well, what can we cut out of the budget to make this more manageable. Obviously, the economic impact is pretty broad, and we want to do whatever we can to manage that. So any thoughts, comments? Everybody,
Joe Harlan, my only thought or comment is I think anything we can do to wait as long as we can so we get as much information as we can is important. I think things are changing too fast and we know too little to make a lot of good judgments at this point.
I would agree. I think waiting this out as long as we can to have the most information about the approach. So I think approving what we have on the table now, and then having a backup plan, because you said things change. I think that's a strategy. And as more information comes in, then discuss what's coming in and what our strategy is going to be to do this and minimize whatever we can minimize as far as the economic impact on the taxpayer, and our town can do what they need to do. Any other?
Hey, this is Kate Anderson. It looks like Prem is trying to talk. I see his mouth moving, but Prem, we don't hear you.
Yeah, true.
If it makes any difference, you just have a little telephone next to your name. You don't have a green or a red microphone, so I don't think your audio is hooked into this meeting.
1 second.
We got a thumbs up.
I think he's gonna dial in right now.
And he's gone.
All right. All right, is he coming back?
He's trying to rejoin with audio.
I don't see anyone coming yet, but I mean, I imagine he will be. Oh, here he is. He's arrived again.
There he is, my phone.
No, he still has the phone.
Prem, can you hear us? Okay, can we hear you?
Prem, you can always dial in on your cell phone like I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, use your cell phone, Prem.
Yeah.
What will we have to do, Joe? This is Wayne. What do we have left to do to finalize the present budget?
We have, like 5 budgets: finance, insurance, contingency, capital, and debt service. And so we'll get that later on the agenda, but we approve those budgets, even if we know things may change, like capital, it's in last year's number, but I think to get to a point to have perspective, to be able to start relooking at what we need to do. And some things we're not going to be able to make that decision.
Now?
Yay. Okay.
Prem,
Sorry
we're
about
live.
I don't know whether you went on to the next topic. Can I go back to the last topic?
Just give me 1 second to finish answering Wayne's question.
Okay.
You're up. So it's just finishing those, but stuff like capital, as much as don't really want to minimize or skip on that, I think that might be a variable at the end. So we're approving it tonight, again, so we have perspective of what the budget looks like, to be able to work backwards, and then we'll come back to some of these again, with hopefully what Bob going back to the departments and relooking, and then looking at alternative ways to fund capital, if we use some of the unallocated, those type of things, to try to manage the budget to be as close to no increase as possible, tax increase.
Right, correct. Okay. So let's go on to Prem's side.
All right, Prem, you're up.
Now do you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
All right, so Michael Haddam, I don't know what Bob just said, but you know, what I wanted to say is I think it's prudent right now to have the secondary budget, given what's going on with the economy. You know, obviously a lot of people are hurting, losing jobs at this point. And I know the Board of Ed right now is considering cuts to their existing budget, which they've already released to the tune of about $1 million at this point. So they're trying to get to flat. I think, you know, in that kind of spirit, I think we need to do something to that effect. And knowing that our share of the BOE budget is pretty high, you know, that secondary budget's probably going to be fairly aggressive, I think. And I think we need to consider doing that at this point. So I don't know what I missed, so I apologize.
Yep, well, that's what the plan is. So you're just concurring with that's the strategy we're putting in place. We're not going to wait till the very end. We're going to look at what that secondary budget is now, so we can react when we have more information.
Hey, Joe, when do we, given the changes that are going on, and I know that they are ongoing, but when do we look at this year's budget and say, okay, what's at risk and what is likely to be surplus given changing dynamics in the environment, so we can look at that in light of next year's budget?
Yeah, at some point we can start looking at it. We still have, 1 quarter left. So there are some things, I already see some things on the revenue side that are not coming in.
Right.
So we can certainly also be asking if we can project where we're going to come out. But yes, any surplus that we end up with, that will definitely we'll apply that to what we're facing next year, whether it be capital, like we did before, just fund whatever we can, because that money is already there, just to minimize, again, whatever tax for next year. So that definitely is part of the strategy.
So we should be
All right,
looking
everybody.
at, you think, at the next meeting when we have April data to look at the year and say, where are we going to have surplus? Like, are we going to really fix all those trucks in the fire department? Where are we going to be challenged or at risk at making the budget, so we can at the end of the have some sense of what could we carry and leverage against a buffer for next year's crazy events, where we're going to have to clearly offset revenue, no doubt.
Yes, we can, Bob, you can jump in, but that's something we can, for the last 2 months, it's easier to project certain things. Obviously repairs you can't project, but other stuff we can look at and see how we're tracking and see how to manage some of that, knowing what we're up against.
Great.
Yeah, everybody, this is Bob. Yeah, this is Bob McGarry, First Selectman. Just as a point of order, to comply with the executive order and the relaxed FOIA request, before you speak, every time before you speak, you've got to identify yourself and position. Like Bob McGarry, First Selectman, Tim Tarrant, board member. We can recognize a number of the voices, but particularly for those on phone only, it's very confusing as to who's talking. So please try to remember to do that. And as far as the overall budget, I think we can take a look at, Tim, to your point, what we're going to have projecting for surplus and how can we leverage that as we're developing our alternate budget going forward.
Great.
Okay. Any other comments right now before we move to the next item? Okay. So we have approval of minutes. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to take a look at those. So we have 3 sets of minutes. We'll just do them one at a time. So February 19th, 2020.
Tim Turan, I motion to approve.
Peter Baird, second.
Mark?
Hold on. I can't, I have to abstain because I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay. Prem?
Prem Michael, I'll second.
Graham, you weren't there either, but I don't know what the rule is if someone's absent, if they can approve the minutes or not.
Which
You
you
just
said
wait.
February, you said February 20 something or 19th?
19.
Oh, my bad. Abstain.
All right. Harlan?
Sorry, Harlan here. Couldn't find the mic button. I wasn't there. I'll abstain from this set of minutes, please.
Oh. All right. Wayne?
I'll approve. Yes.
So Joanne, how many was that?
Six.
Do we have a, so who else did,
3 approved, 3 abstained.
all right. And Dave was probably there, right?
Dave Chen, yep.
So who was the other member there that I would need to approve? Are they in this meeting?
I have to look at the minutes.
This
It
is
looks
Mark.
like
It's
Dave Challenger
Brooks Baird.
and Brooks and Baird.
This is February 19th, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just attendance, Wayne Ruddy, Dave Challenger, Brooks Baird.
Yeah, actually, I can't even approve it. I wasn't there. I apologize. It was the 23rd I was there.
Nintendo Font. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so we don't have enough people on the call to approve that? All right. So let's table that one, go to the next one if we don't have enough people, or I can vote to approve. Does that count?
Yeah, I think you do count.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that you just need a simple majority and abstentions don't count. So if you get 3 people to vote yes, you're okay. You don't need 4.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
this is Bob, Gary, that's correct. You've got a majority that meeting's budget, minutes rather, excuse me, is approved, should be approved.
So we're all set on that to the 24th?
I'll make a motion to approve the February 24th minutes. This is Prem Michael. Adam.
This is Wayne. I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Okay.
Can't find can't find my mic button. Aye. Harlan. Sorry.
All right, I think that passes. March 2nd?
A second.
March 2nd, not 2nd.
March 2nd, I need
Oh,
both
geez.
motions, a first and a second.
This is Peter Baird. I'll propose that we accept the minutes on March 2nd.
Is this a time to say corrections by any chance?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Under discussion of 2021 budget, change Braid to Baird.
Oh, thanks so much, Prem. You're looking out for me.
I'm looking out for you.
Yeah, it is spelled wrong.
Right, as amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is Harlan. I'm abstaining again.
Aye.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Set with that. Communications to the Board of Finance, the only item was the tax collector's report, that monthly report that I hand out, that was attached to the email. So I don't think everyone can look at that at their convenience if there's any questions. I don't have anything else at this point. All right. Finance Director's report.
Barbara Bertrand, Finance Director. I have, I did some year-end, end-of-year projections under group life insurance and telephone and internet. The red in your report, we've reported these things before, it's just the number has changed, it's gotten larger. The new one is the maintenance of site, which I spoke with Chris in regard to the overage. There was a problem with one of the transport trucks, T22. I don't know what the truck is specifically, but they had to pretty hefty repairs. We also have a purchase order that's going to be voided, which I think it's on your sheets. And also we're going to classify, reclass one of the items there. So that's going to level out a little bit. The one thing I do have to mention as well is the water pollution control is going to be, not that one, I'm sorry. It's another one that we received, two things. We received in a bill for Everbridge, which is the emergency system that is coming forward out of EMS for Kevin McManus. And we're split, well, we're not really, we're paying 52% of that bill. And Killingworth is going to pay the 48%. So that bill hasn't been posted yet. And when it does, it's going to bring that account over. He has, I believe, under communications, hold on a second here, we have, I think, 1,300. $1,210, and the bill is going to be like $4,900. So we are going to have to get that in place online. I think you've gotten, hopefully everybody has returned their email and their information so that you can get emergency alerts. It's consistent with 911, but there's additional citizens that can go on that communication. Other than that, I don't have anything unless specific questions. I'm just waiting for the ECS money to come in from the state, and hopefully that will be coming in April. Have you heard anything about that, Joe?
I haven't heard anything about when that's going to be released. Again, the state's just gone quiet other than the governor, so.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm hoping that comes to fruition. Other than that, I don't have anything to report, but what we will do is I'll work with Bob and we'll get some pretty good projections. I don't know when we'll be face to face, but maybe we do something like this, Bob. And work on some numbers for you.
Anyone have any questions, comments on the financial report? Good. Selectmen's report. What's new, Bob?
This is Bob McGarry, First Selectman. It's kind of been a quiet couple of months or weeks since we last met, so there's really not a whole lot. Basically, what I was going to talk about, we've already talked about, which is revision to how we're going to do the budget. Push that out as late as possible to have some glimmer of hope of doing some sort of a public vote on it. We will look into seeing if there is an alternate method we can come up with to do a public vote at a town meeting or some semblance of, hopefully before we can get the budget in. But those are the highlights, unless anyone has any particular questions on what's happening in town hall.
Any questions? Okay. All right, new business. So one of the items that I want to bring up under new business is we received an invoice for fire protection charges, which is the fire hydrants down in Tylerville. So basically, I understand from talking to Connecticut Water is that's just an access charge because those hydrants are there. It's calculated based upon the length of the line and the number of hydrants, and they kind of do their new billing cycle every January 1. So you received a bill, I think, for 2 months, which is about $4,500. So the estimate, again, none of this is not currently in the budget. So for the next 6 months, it's approximately $15,000 for the charge. They're going to bill monthly. Again, a little bit behind. So we already have February and March have been, January and February have been billed, but we don't, and I'm sure we'll be getting the March one. So really, conceptually, we should have a line for that. We can do this 2 ways. I'd like to set up a line in public buildings and make it public buildings and property, and put the line in there for 15,000, and we can either take it out of contingency, which basically only has 18,000 left, or we can address it with the transfer later on. But wanted the board to be aware that's there, and then again we're going to talk about that when we get on the budget, and then that budget also to include the cost for 2021.
This is Harlan. Joe, is that like an assessment that's over a few years to pay for putting that in, or is that an ongoing charge that'll be there for forever?
It's ongoing. It's basically, the equivalent of an access fee because it's sitting there whether they use it or not. Their billing structure, their billing allows them to charge for it because they put it in. So it's going to be forever.
Okay.
So it'll be a monthly recurring.
So this is Wayne, but that's one thing we're gonna have to add a line to the budget, correct?
We got to add, yes, that's the next step. We got to add a line to the current budget because we have $15,000 projected to pay for January through June. And then we're going to have to, when we get to the budget, we'll talk about, we got to amend that budget to include it in there. But the first step is current year. So I think we need to at least create the line so we can pay the bill. And again, if we fund it with contingency, we'll have no contingency left, basically. Or since we're talking about discussing at the meeting, basically just be put into public buildings. And then we will, again, transfer money in if need be at the end of the year. Like if we save money on electricity or heat, then we wouldn't necessarily need to fund it.
Yeah, I'd agree with putting it in, not transferring anything in at the moment, and let the minutes reflect that we know that it exists and deal with it at the end of the year.
And set up the new line?
But yeah, set it up now though. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Bob McGarry. One thing I was thinking of for a line, we do have a line in public works for maintenance. And that might be an appropriate one to use, or we can create a whole new one. We've got to make sure we differentiate between the two if we do.
Yeah,
We should probably create a new,
right. So I'm suggesting in the public, with all the other utilities in a sense, just put it in public buildings, and that way it's clear and it gets budgeted every year. So I think that's the best way to go, to set up the new line. All right, so we'll do that, and then if everything else works out, we won't need to do anything. That if that budget can absorb it, then we'll be all set. But at least wanted to talk about it, because we're going to talk about it, because related to the 21 budget, because so we can get it into that budget also. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So review and discussion of the budget. So the departments that we have left to do, we'll start with finance department, which is 11. What we're going to propose at this point, and we still have to work out the structure of the departments, but is just to move essentially consolidate the treasurer's department into finance, because that role is going to be covered by finance now. And so we're just going to remove the treasurer's salary from the budget and the mileage. So the new total, zeroing out the 4,400, and I think the mileage was already zeroed out, and moving the bank charges in, which is $100, that may again be going up. But the departments, by doing those couple things, would be 135,432. That would be the revised total.
I'm sorry, 135, 142?
432, 432.
Oh, 432, okay.
So we need a motion, and then we can talk about it.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve it at the 135, 432. Harlan, here.
this is Wayne, I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Harlan here, aye.
Wayne, aye.
Aye.
Mark, aye.
Peter, yes?
Yeah, I said Peter, sorry.
All right, sorry, I could see you nodding, but I just wanted to. All right, is that everybody? All right, so that passes. The next budget is insurance and benefits. I did get some additional information. So the town employees pension, the recommended contribution 2020 calendar year is 358,931, which is the 388,281. So since it's lower, we'll take advantage of that. But I did get something directly from them that said that's the number, and the 86,107 for fire department was the correct number for fire department. So that new total would be 1,318,494. It's up about 88,000, but some of that was that it was that mostly health insurance and the pension, the town pension. So we have a motion.
Harlan here, I'll make a motion to approve that.
This is Wayne, I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor? Take a vote.
Wayne, yes.
Harlan, yes.
Mark, yes.
Prem, yes.
Peter, yes.
All right. Thank you. That passes. Next one, and this one we'll certainly come back to, but for now, it's approved contingency, which is the 60,000 regular, it's the 40,000 salary. Total of 100,000.
This is Harlan. I'll make a motion to approve that at the 60 plus 40.
This is Wayne, I'll second it.
Any discussion? Take a vote.
This is Wayne, I'll
Harlan,
approve.
yes.
Mark, yes.
Tim, yes? You're on mute.
Tim?
All right.
Yes. Yes, sorry.
Prem, yes.
All right. Great. Thank you. That passes. So the next one, if I'm just going in order, again, is that public buildings, and added the word and property because it's covering a couple different things. So the fire protection charges, the estimate is 33,000 for 2021. They run calendar year, so there's an increase that will happen, or the increase happens in July, and they give us projected increases. So if we add that 33,000 to that department, it would change the total to $380,045.
This is Wayne, I'll move that we approve.
This is Mark, I second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, take a vote.
Wayne, yes.
Tim, yes.
Harlan, yes.
Mark, yes.
Prem, yes.
Peter, yes.
All right. Great. Passes. Okay. would be capital. Again, right now, the number that is in the budget is the prior year number. So again, this is another line that certainly will be revisited, but at least to get a starting point of completed kind of first pass. It's, you'll leave it at the same number, or at least make the motion and we can talk about it. If we can get a motion for that, the 585.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve it to get it on the table. Harlan,
Second it, Wayne.
All right. Any discussion? Again, I'm sure we'll come back and talk about it again, but at least to kind of have a starting point. Any comments? All right, we'll take a vote.
Wayne, yes.
Harlan, yes.
Mark, yes.
Tim, yes.
Peter, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes. Last one will be debt service. And then looking at the projections, the 575, we just started with what we had in their prior year. That was based upon 7 million, but as you're aware that we're going to issue less than 7 million, so projecting closer to 6 million, so that would decrease the debt service. So into the two pieces, the principal would be 397.5, and the interest would be 97.5, and this would bring the debt service total to 1,019,165.
I'll move that we approve.
Second,
Wayne, I move we,
we need a first. Yeah. All right. Second.
This is Mark. I second.
All right.
Yeah,
Any
this
discussion?
this is Harlan. I'm sorry, I didn't quite keep up with that. The 575 is now, because we're going out for less bonding, we can reduce that down to what, Joe?
In two pieces, 494.5, principal of 397.5, and interest of 97.5. So actually, I did that wrong, but 397.5 and 97.5 is 495. So it's going in total from 575 down 495. Again, those numbers will get adjusted when we actually get there, but it's definitely going to be lower because we're going to bond less based upon paying for the trucks.
Okay. And then, I'm sorry, and then, but what did you come up with for a total?
1,319,165.
Okay, I misheard. Fine. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Now, Joe, obviously, we should approve, if we approve it today, I'll say yes. I would, it's Tim speaking. So I would vote yes, but obviously with the thing that you and Bob brought up earlier, which is depending upon what loans are available to us later this month of May, perhaps there's an opportunity to further reduce it by refinancing, yes?
Right, we're just approving that was the plan, but yes, all this, that's another one that we'll look at very closely. But that's, if we, that's where the plan is moving right now, but yes, everything is up for discussion. before we finalize. All right, so did we take the vote? We didn't take the vote yet. We had the second, so we're just,
Yep, this is Harlan. I'll vote yes.
Wayne, yes.
Mark, yes.
Yes.
Peter, yes.
okay. That gives us a starting point. We can get this updated and out to everybody, but again, we are going to go back and relook at some of these, and we'll revisit a lot of these lines. But at least this is the starting point, so we have something to work with. And as we get the more information and updated information, that we'll go back and look at some of these items in detail again. Any other comments on the budget?
Joe, it's Harlan. Between you and Bob, are you two gonna go back to department heads and ask them to take a hard look at things as things unfold? If we need to go to Plan B, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah,
I think
Plan B before we need to. We're gonna not worst case scenario, but yes, to go back and say what can you do without, considering where we're at, and get revised estimates on some of these.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is we need Harlan here again. My feeling is we need help from the department heads on that, preferably rather than us just making those cuts without any input from them.
Right, I think Bob's gonna facilitate most of that.
Yeah, this is Bob. Now that we have agreed that that's going to be our course of action, the ultimate budget, I will be going to the department heads this week, early next week, to ask them to take a look at it, see what they can trim farther in view of what looks to be another tight financially.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are you looking for a motion to adjourn? Are we wrapped up?
Yep, I am.
Actually,
I'll be eager to do that.
wait, can I say something?
Can I ask you to hold off for just a minute?
Okay,
I just want to, this is the first meeting like this we've tried to conduct online. There were some bumps and glitches, and they'll continue to be some, but I think it went fairly well overall. I would invite any of the audience members, if you have feedback on what went well or didn't in your view on this, to please email them to Joanne, selectassist@haddam.org. We can look at incorporating those if possible into future meetings. Sure, this is going to be the wave of our next few meetings anyway. Thanks for holding off, Harlan.
okay. Are all those people viewing on this thing that I see that says the mini cam?
Sean,
No,
did
I'm
you
not.
want
No?
to say something? I think Sean Moriarty wanted to talk. Hold, please. Sean?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
There we go. I didn't know I was muted, and I was trying to interject there a couple of points. So Sean Moriarty, Board of Selectmen. This is actually for Barbara. Just make sure that we get the updated pages for our budget book, so I can put the updated numbers in. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, I'll work on that. Of course, I'm doing it remotely. This is Barbara, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm doing it remotely, and I'll do it the best I can. I'm going to put
Yeah,
everything in.
just the best you can.
Pardon me?
You know, even, excuse me, even if it's just, if you can just send us a list of the totals, so I'll just hand write in on each line, that's not a problem, just so we know what it is.
Well, I've got most of it in, it's making these few changes, so I just will have Joe overlook it, make sure the bottom line is correct, that I got everything, what was just voted on tonight, so, yeah, I'll get it out as soon as I can.
Thank you, Barbara. And Joe, so the meeting went, I think, as well as it could have. Good job.
Thanks. I'm hoping for better next time, but
Like I said, as good as it could have.
Now I'll make the motion to adjourn. Harlan.
Tim will second the motion.
all right. Thank you, everybody, for your patience, and we'll be better at it next time.
Everybody
Okay.
stay
Be
safe.
healthy.
Yep.
Be healthy, everyone.
Stay healthy.
Okay,
Take
have a
care.
good night. Bye.
Bye now. Bye all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Stay home.
I don't
Yeah.
want it.